Hi, it's Dennis Daly. I think the most fun I had in doing my weekly radio show was going on the road. One Christmas season, I said, now where can I go that I can be right in the middle of Christmas shopping and have some fun too? So I flew to Minneapolis and went to the Mall of America.
Hi again, everybody. We are winding down the Christmas shopping season, and where better to go than to capture the, watch out, the fun and excitement of all of this, but the Mall of America in the Twin Cities, very near the Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport. If you have not been here, this place is quite an adventure. What I was getting out for is the log flume ride. Yes, inside the mall, there is not only a log flume ride, but a roller coaster and a Ferris wheel. It's not Camp Snoopy. Why do all of this inside? Well, this is Minnesota, and you couldn't do this outside this time of year. It is kind of a merchandising miracle here, a little microcosm of America. People come from all over the world just to see how America shops at the Mall of America. The public relations director of the Mall of America is Teresa McFarland. I sat down and talked to her about the history of this incredible place and how the Mall of America has become a genuine destination for people not only here in the States, but from all over the world. Teresa, is this the largest mall of its kind or second largest? How does Mall of America fit in? I hate to ask about the size, but that's what everybody talks about to start with. That's what makes this such an alluring place.
Right. Well, Mall of America is the largest retail and entertainment complex in the country. So we have about 4.2 million square feet, about 520 stores. It's really shaped like a simple square with Knott's Camp Snoopy in the middle, which is 7 acres of indoor theme park.
Let's talk a little bit about the theme park to start with. I was trying to explain to somebody the other day, since I had been here a couple of years ago, although it was not as busy. I must have been here right when you first opened, and it wasn't the holiday season, how important it is in a place like Minneapolis, where the winters can be brutal, to have a place for kids to go and ride a roller coaster inside.
Well, it is a tremendous draw, actually, to anywhere in the Midwest, because winter plays a very long role in our seasons here, and it does get very cold. And the one thing we can brag about is that Mall of America is always sunny and 70, and we are a very good place to bring families. I mean, it really appeals to a broad-based demographic group, because we can get the hardcore shopper, the women who maybe just like to power shop, the tourist, the family that's looking for a good getaway that appeals. There's something for everyone here.
Let me say something here, if I may, that you might not want to say on your own. And that is, something has happened here to make this place a little safer, a little bit more genteel. And that's the fact that there are some guidelines now about unescorted children and minors here. And I was talking to a fellow at the car rental agency today who tells me that just in the week since this new policy has gone into effect, he's seeing more families and that it's actually more fun here. I take it, through no fault of yours, that this was kind of becoming a place where there were just a lot of kids running around.
Well, over the years, we had seen the number of unescorted kids increase to as many as 5,000 on a Friday and Saturday night. And they like to hang out on one side of the mall, on the east side of the mall, which is a pretty wide open area. The rotunda's there. You can kind of see and be seen in that area. And while we welcome the kids and we like them to come out here, we really wanted them to behave. And some of the incidents we were seeing with kids were disturbing. Things like fighting. We'd had some weapons on kids. We'd had some intimidating, harassing behavior, and you can't really have that type of atmosphere at a family entertainment environment like Mall of America. And so in October, we did start implementing the parental escort policy, which just requires that kids under 16 bring an adult 21 years of age or older with them on Friday and Saturday nights from 6 until 9:30. And that's really only 3.5 hours on 2 nights a week. All the other times that they can come and they're fine. It's just those are our very busy nights, and it really is. It's become a safety issue. We want the kids to be safe. We want everyone else to be safe, and it's gone tremendously well. A lot of our retailers that are on the east side of the mall have seen double-digit and triple-digit increases in their sales because more families are coming back. More people are coming back to utilize this as a family entertainment environment. The other thing we did at the same time was we introduced family entertainment activities so that in every court and in the rotunda on weekend nights there'll be some type of activity going on that we hope will encourage families to come out together.
Hundreds of stores here all under one roof. You can probably hear in the background that, watch out, there goes another log flume. Everything is here, and a lot of people have come here, not only from the U.S., but from around. Okay, another log flume is coming. You know, if the water goes the wrong way, I'm going to ruin a $2,000 tape recorder. Anyway, I continue my discussion with the Director of Public Relations for the mall, Teresa McFarland. Was it misdirected press, or did I put two and two together and get three at one time, that a couple of years ago it wasn't the economic success it is now? I mean, I read something that made me kind of worry about you guys, but you walk in here and my Lord, I mean, it was certainly not now. If you did have a downturn, you've turned that around.
Well, I think what you're probably referring to is the people that the naysayers before the mall opened was really, we've only been around for 4 years. So when we first opened, there was a lot of people that said this can't be done, it won't work, but it really has been a phenomenal success. We've been able to add new items to the mall to keep it kind of fresh and exciting. Underwater World just opened last June, and that has been a tremendous draw for tourists that maybe have already come through here and made a trip to the mall, but now want to come back and see that. It's a 1.2 million gallon walk-through aquarium that leads you in an acrylic tunnel, actually, through 4 different aquatic environments. So you go from a Minnesota freshwater lake down the Mississippi River to the Gulf, and then you end up off a coral reef near Belize is what it's supposed to be. So you see everything from the walleye and bass to the gars and alligator gars and the catfish, to the sharks and the stingrays, to the tropical fish.
Well, now, when it's not the holiday crush, are you then seeing school groups come out here? I mean, it seems as if you're setting up a more and more educational environment in some ways.
Oh, sure. There's a lot of things that school groups can do out here, and now with Underwater World, they do have an educational element too, where they have classrooms where you can go in and really discuss some of the different environmental questions of fish overall, and it's very educational. Knott's Camp Snoopy has the same thing with the Wilderness Theater, so you can go in there and see animals interacting and really sit on stage with some big animals too. What
are the anchor stores here? Or I presume, do you have one at each of the 4 corners? Right. Is that rather the arrangement?
Right. At the 4 corners, we have Bloomingdale's, Macy's, Nordstrom, and Sears. So something
for everyone.
Absolutely. It really is.
Not that Sears is the bottom. I didn't mean it that way, but you have everything from the really posh to the mainstream. Yeah, from I can't call the name of the Sears power tools. Craftsman, yes.
Right. Yeah.
All the way up to the top. We could take an hour to get into this next area, but what's big this year? What do you see the kids clamoring for out here?
During the holiday season? The Tickle Me Elmo doll is big. The Nintendo 64 is a huge seller this season. The Beanie Babies.
Tell me about those.
Well, they're very cute and very small little animals, little beanbag animals, and they all have names, and they're very cute. And I had to laugh because when I called Sears to see how they did with what was selling hot, they said, well, beanbags are selling hot. And I said, boy, we have everything from beanbags to beanie babies. I guess that's kind of the theme this season. The other thing is I'm blanking on the name of this now.
What's it look like? Let's play 20 questions here.
The real, the warm fuzzy type shirts and material. What's that?
Oh, I did an article on those. Well, think of it when we get off of here.
I know.
Well, let's move on to something else. You were talking about the tourist attraction, the destination itself that this place has become. I've seen some people here who, through no stretch of the imagination, it's easy to tell, came from quite a distance. I mean, there are some Asian and European looks in this mall, and I guess with Northwest being such an international carrier, it's really easy for people to get here, even if, they want to come from Tokyo over.
Oh, sure, and they have nonstop flights from Japan now. And so our top 3 countries for tourists really are Japan, the UK, and Canada. And we have seen more, especially during this holiday season, we've seen a 35% increase in the number of book tours coming through here in November and December this year. We have a charter group that comes out of Switzerland once a week, every Thursday for the last 3 weeks. We've had groups coming in from Switzerland to shop for 5 days at Mall of America, and it's being billed as shopping the American way, and it's amazing. So these charters are coming in from all over the world.
What kind of comments do you get from tourists from out of the country? I know I went for the first time this year out of the country. I'd been to Mexico and Canada before, but I went to London, Paris, and Malta. The first thing I noticed is that the portions are too small, and they don't refill the soft drinks. In the reverse of that, do people coming over from overseas, does the first thing that hits them is how big this place is, and in America, how much of everything there is?
Well, and then they're surprised to find this in the Midwest. They think that this is something they would expect on the East Coast or the West Coast, but certainly not in Minnesota. And we've had crews in from the BBC, sent crews over, and they've done big specials on the Mall of America, and they're just amazed that we would have a mall like this where you could buy the kind of merchandise that you can here. And then the other thing is not having any sales tax on clothing is a big deal too. When they realize that, they think it's just a even more phenomenal deal. And then they want to know where they can smoke a cigarette too. That's always a big question. And of course in Minnesota, it's very difficult to find any building that you can do that in.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know.
Let me ask a little bit about you and how you got involved in this. Before going on the air, you mentioned that you had for a while lived in Washington, D.C., not that far from where I now live. And you've come out here to Minneapolis. I have always thought that Minneapolis is the great, undiscovered, wonderful American city. It's got arts and food and nice people, great transportation, and that were it not for the fact that it gets cold up here, this would be more of a mecca. I just think Minneapolis is a spiffy place.
Well, and it also has St. Paul, which is actually where I live. The Twin Cities, of course, are Minneapolis and St. Paul, and it really is a great place to live. I think there's an overall, having lived on the East Coast, and I enjoyed the time out there, and I'd still like to go back and visit, but people have a different kind of caring nature here, I think, and they're more friendly, and it is a great place to live. And you're right, if we didn't have any winter months, everyone would try to be here, I think.
I know the hardest thing for me to get used to 20 years ago, moving to Washington, D.C. from a little farm town in the Midwest, and I'm so talkative, is that you talk to people out east and many of them think you want their wallet.
Right. A little bit suspicious, exactly.
Now, tell us a little bit, if you will, about the other kinds of things that happen here when it's not the Christmas season. I'm a little bit up on this because I see your press releases all the time. You've had a lot of pretty high-powered book signings and introductions of products here.
Oh, sure. Well, really, this place becomes a very attractive venue for all kinds of different things because you have so many people going through here in a week or a month or a day even, and so a lot of people want to be here to get their merchandise out, to do samplings. Country Home Magazine, for the second year in a row, has built a home in the rotunda of the mall during the holidays, and it's right over there. It's 2,700 square feet of Scandinavian cottage for the 21st century this year. That one lucky person will win.
Oh, wow.
It's worth $400,000 with the decor and the house, and we just ask that you make a contribution to the Children's Cancer Research Fund at the University of Minnesota. But again, to them, it's a very good market for them to be in because they can set up this house, give it away, but yet they've been exposed to 7.8 million people during the holiday season.
Is it difficult to come up with new promotions, or are you at the stage of familiarity with merchandisers and the public now that you have a lot of people coming to you with ideas?
Well, we have a lot of people coming to us, but it's also, I think we have done everything from wrestling and potato slime to WCW wrestling we had here too, going live, to Jingle All the Way, the world premiere of that movie, which is Arnold Schwarzenegger's new holiday movie. Part of that was filmed here at Mall of America last April, and we were lucky enough to get them to come back for a world premiere, and we had probably over 150,000 people that got to come here and participate in that in one form or another. We had the world's largest Jingle Bell Choir singing Jingle Bells, We had the celebrity introductions. They did a parade. They had a VIP party at Planet Hollywood, and it was just a whole day of festivities and celebrities. That was just a great time.
Well, you know, when you said film part of the movie here, I've mentioned Northwest Airlines far too much here, but the movie Airport, the original disaster movie with Burt Lancaster and all those people, part of that was filmed at the airport out here. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, the scene where the plane's stuck in the mud and everything. So the Minneapolis St. Paul area, plus, well, my goodness, Prairie Home Companion has come here for how long?
Sure. Boy, I think it started here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. It's been a long time.
Teresa, how do you handle all this? You must have a force of security, logistics, public relations, management people here that's like a small army.
Well, it is, you know, on any given weekend, we're the third largest city in the state of Minnesota. So you're dealing with a lot of people, and we do, we have security here around the clock, 24 hours a day, monitoring. We have about 125 cameras that watch the mall. We have, in addition to an excellent security force, then Bloomington Police Department has jurisdiction over here.
This week on American Montage, we are at the Mall of America in the Twin Cities, the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, barely open 5 years, an experiment in merchandising with hundreds of stores under one roof, and in the middle of all of this, Snoopy's Playground. Camp Snoopy, the Knott's Berry Farm people have put it here.
At 7 in the morning, the doors open, and we have about 3,000 mall walkers that come in for exercise. And it just kind of goes from there. It really is a very vibrant, city-like atmosphere all the way until 1 a.m. when the Upper East Side or our nightclub district closes. But, you know, we have a dental clinic, we have a health clinic, we have a chapel of love where you can get married, we have an 18-hole miniature golf course, we have a 14-screen movie theater, we have Underwater World, the aquarium, Knott's Camp Snoopy, the 520 stores. There's just a little bit of everything here.
Do you want this holiday season to get over with so you can get some sleep?
That's a good idea, but it is a lot of fun. We do a lot of things during the season. We have a lot of fun promotions, lots of visitors coming in. So it really, and I had to smile a lot during the day after Thanksgiving when people were just excited to be here, and they view this as an event, and you know, they're coming out and shopping here during the holiday season. We just had, I was here earlier today, and there was 6 women from Wisconsin who were here, and they do this trip every year, and they had garland around their heads with like a little wreath of garland with lights in their hair, and they had their Christmas vests on, and they were all sisters, and they were just having a great time. But it was an event to come here and do this shopping.
That's absolutely amazing. Tell you what, I'm just going to wander around a little bit. I'm going to let you go back to what you're doing, and thanks for inviting us out here, but I have one more question. For a lot of people, it's too late to get here for the holidays. Obviously, you're a year-round destination. Where can you go to get information? I would presume there's still, you know, some good deals with Northwest Airlines. That's not the only airlines that flies there, but Northwest dominates the market. What can you do to find out about the place, the lodging, the whole package?
Well, you can always call Mall of America information, and if you call 612-883-8800, you can be connected to our tourism department, and they know of a lot of the different groups. Destinations Marketing in Minnesota does a lot of package deals. MLT offers some great deals, and of course Northwest Airlines offers some great fly-in programs once in a while. So you kind of have to check around, and Northwest doesn't really, they don't tell us a lot too far in advance when they're planning something, so it's hard to really announce something too far ahead of time, but there's plenty of time, especially after the holiday season, to come out and get some shopping done. And of course, there'll be lots of sales after Christmas to take advantage of.
I've always said the best thing to do with the airlines is call them up, and if you're flexible, tell them to tell you when to fly.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's a good way to do it.
Teresa, thanks a lot. It's a wonderful place, and it's a little crowded, but here we are in the holiday season. I'm going to trudge around and see what happens, and thanks a lot.
We'll have a great time.
Right smack dab in the middle for the second year in a row, a magazine, Country Home Magazine, has put together a wonderful promotion in which they have actually built a house. Not just a mock-up of a house, but an actual honest-to-goodness house. Lee File Sticker is with Aulich and Luloff. That's a company in St. Louis Park, Minnesota, and that company was the contractor building this year's house. I talked to Lee about the project, about why it's there, about the charity aspect of it, and how much fun it was for his company to put it all together. Lee, this is a really innovative thing. I understand it's the second year, if I'm not mistaken, the Country Home magazine. We are standing in front of a house that's pretty well been built here in the Mall of America. If you will, tell us a little bit about your company and how you fit into this. This is an incredible merchandising thing. It's the last thing I expected to see here.
Right. Well, Country Home came to Minnesota to put this project on and looked for a contractor to put it together. They interviewed a number of contractors, and we deal with mid to high-end type construction. We have erected another home similar to this inside the convention center here in Minnesota, in Minneapolis. In that we had that experience, we're also very good at planning to execute. This house was built in 11 days. We got 2,600 square feet of home that was built in 11 days, and we ran around the clock doing that.
Well, now, how do you build a house? I mean, some of it you wouldn't do the same way. You can't dig a basement here, obviously. You can't put down footings. How do you go about building a house? And this isn't a mock-up. This isn't a movie set. It's a real honest-to-God house, but you build it inside this Mall of America.
Well, part of it had to be designed around the structure of the mall. There is an aquarium underneath us. The SeaWorld aquarium that's underneath us, and we have long timbers that run the short distance of the home to help spread that load out. But essentially, this home we'll take it down piece by piece, load it on the trailers, and it will be re-erected for some winter. All the proceeds are going to the Children's Cancer Fund, Children's Research Cancer Fund out of the University of Minnesota. And they actually will end up having responsibility for the home and administering the raffle as it is for the home. But someone will need to provide a foundation for the home and choose a builder. We would assume it would be us, but they could choose their builder or build it themselves. And they win all the material here, everything, the dishes, the bedspreads, beds, everything that's in it.
Well, you know, when you think about it, there's really no finer gift a person can give, or in this case, win, relating to the holidays. You think of home and hearth, than to win a house.
Right. Yeah. No, absolutely, and it's a wonderful thing, and it really is going to a wonderful cause, the Children's Cancer Fund. Your people are asked as they go through. It doesn't cost anything to go through the home, and they're asked at the end if they would like to donate $5 to be included in the raffle for the house. It's a wonderful way of doing it. The people that won the house last year actually ended up buying another home, in addition to another log home, in addition to the one that they won. And she was by the house here yesterday, I believe, to take pictures of this one.
There's so many questions I'd like to ask. My dad was, I say plumbing and heating contractor. He was a department manager in Montgomery Ward, but I think was a better architect and designer than a lot of the people who worked for him out in the field, actually doing it hands-on. In the years you have been in construction, what have been the major changes? I would think in watching some of these PBS programs, modularization, being able to order windows to size, a lot of that, a lot of prefab. What have you seen change in the last decade or so that makes it easier for the homeowner and for the contractor?
Well, part of this home here and part of what Country Home wanted to do was present some of that technology that you're asking about. We did with this home is bring old and new together. The timber framing being centuries old methods of construction, and we added what is called the SIP panel. It's a structurally insulated panel that has a lumber product both inside and out with foam in the middle of it. It's stronger than a conventionally framed home. It has greater insulation value and helps the home go together quicker. I think the greatest thing that's happened in the industry is the innovation in how to use products and how to use them wisely, as far as the panel is constructed of actually scrap woods rather than dimensional wood. So from that standpoint, it's a green product. It's not using lots of trees to build it. It is much more energy efficient. It is keeps the home tighter from air infiltration.
That's one of the things. I think my dad was very much ahead of his time. Were he alive today, he would be in his late 80s. Mm-hmm. But that he, even when energy was cheap, when he designed the house, which until recently my mother still lived in 1950, when he designed it, I don't know whether they knew about R rating and insulation, but he blew what was then rock wool every place. The house was always tight. It was the only house in the neighborhood that still had snow on the roof because the heat hadn't gone all the way through to melt it off. And he was really ahead of his time back in an era, but we've gotten to the era now where we suddenly realize that everything is precious.
Right. No, it is, and more and more they're looking at that. Is the energy, and that's why Country Home is bringing this home to show that how the home can be constructed. And also, it wasn't that long ago that we thought we were going to be living a little bit differently in the 21st century, which kind of brings in the 21st century concept that we're going to be living more traditionally in the home. May have new technology in how it's built, but as far as the space itself will be very traditional in its concept and the way you live.
So Lee, let me see if I get this right. Country Home is a magazine. Basically, for pragmatic reasons, they're doing a very generous thing, tying the house in with charity. But they're also, it would appear, giving some of their major advertisers, like Anderson Window Walls, for example, a good shot at exposing their product to an audience.
Yeah, and they are. They're the contributors to Anderson Windows as being one of the major ones. Riverbend and Insulspan, also major sponsors of this home. An excellent venue to the public. There will be 500,000 people go through this house. There's hardly another venue that you could find where you could have that many people travel. Now, the market or the people coming through are not necessarily here looking at a home specifically, but it does go for name recognition. Anderson Windows being one of the largest window manufacturers, being right here in Minnesota, but they do contribute. They were in the home last year and they're in this home this year, and they are a major player in a lot of this, as well as a major advertiser with Country Home.
Well, Lee, thanks a lot. The house looks just great. I know you put in a lot of work on it. I'll let you go back to work because you have some admirers who want to talk about it, and have a happy holiday.
Thank you.
A look at the Mall of America during a Christmas shopping season years ago. I'm Dennis Daly.